The course catalog described World Case 7 as a standard evaluation environment. High gravity, unstable weather, aggressive native life, limited resources. For most species in the Coalition, those words translated to death sentence. The Deathworld survival course existed to test adaptability under extreme pressure. And across 200 cycles, its failure rate had never dropped below 90%. Candidates arrived confident and left broken, injured or silent. The instructors were not cruel. They were precise. Every rule was explained once. Every tool was standardized. No personal equipment was allowed. No outside assistance. Survival depended on observation, restraint, and creativity. Alan walked off the transport carrying nothing but the issued pack and an expression of mild curiosity. His species file labeled him as human. Origin World Class 12. Deathworld rating disputed. Several instructors watched him with professional detachment, expecting panic or bravado. They got neither. The landing zone opened onto red soil baked hard by twin suns. Winds screamed across jagged stone ridges. In the distance, long shapes moved beneath the dust, drawn by heat and vibration. A chime sounded, signaling the start of the trial. Most candidates scattered immediately. Alan did not run. He knelt, pressed his palm to the ground, and frowned slightly. The soil crumbled easily, but the deeper layer retained moisture. He marked the spot with a stone and stood. An observer named Pax adjusted his display. "Why is he not seeking shelter?" "Perhaps shock," another instructor replied. "Humans are known for delayed reactions." Alan walked toward a cluster of low rocks and unpacked his kit. Inside were the usual items. A filter straw, 2 meters of fiber cord, a folding blade, a thermal sheet, nutrient paste rated for 6 days. Emergency beacon disabled until course completion. He set the paste aside and reached deeper into the pack. A rectangular container emerged, sealed and labeled in human script. Pax leaned forward. "That is not standard. It passed inspection," the lead instructor said. Contents were declared edible. Alan placed the container in the shade, then began arranging stones into a shallow arc. He scraped soil into a pit and lined it with the thermal sheet, reflective side down. The sun climbed higher. Heat shimmered. Other candidates were already in distress. A tall avian species attempted flight and was driven down by gravity. A scaled quadruped wasted energy digging into solid rock. A silicon-based being stood immobile. Misjudging temperature tolerance, Alan finished his pit, then walked calmly toward a patch of spiny growth. He snapped off several stalks, avoiding the barbs with practiced movements. Sap bled clear and viscous. He tasted a drop, nodded once and returned. "He is ingesting unknown flora," Pac said. "He tested it first," the instructor replied. "Minimal exposure." Alan placed the stalks into the pit, added a thin layer of soil, and covered it with stones. He sat back, wiped his hands, and opened the container. Inside was food, not paste. Not compressed rations bread, sliced fruit sealed in gel, a folded cloth, a small metal flask. Pax stared. "Is that a meal?" "It appears so," the instructor said slowly. Alan poured liquid from the flask into a shallow depression near the pit. The liquid smelled faintly acidic. Steam rose as it contacted the hot ground. He waited, then retrieved it with a cloth and drank water, filtered through condensation and captured. He chewed his food while watching the horizon. Predators approached by mid-cycle. Long-limbed hunters with segmented eyes and taloned forelimbs, they circled, testing distance. Alan did not react until one crossed the stone arc. Then he stood. He raised his arms and shouted. The sound was sharp and rhythmic, echoing off the rocks. He stomped forward, kicking dust into the air. The predators recoiled, startled by the sudden display. One hissed. Another retreated. Alan advanced 2 steps, then stopped. He lowered his arms and waited. The predators withdrew. Pax exhaled. He confronted them. "Territorial display," the instructor said. "Common among apex species. Alan returned to his seat and finished his meal. When the pit began to smoke, he uncovered it. The spiny stalks had softened, releasing moisture. He collected the liquid with the cloth and wrung it into a container fashioned from folded thermal sheet, food and water secured by the end of the first cycle. Half the candidates had activated their beacons. Injuries mounted. Exposure claimed more. Alan slept beneath a rock overhang, wrapped in reflective material. Body positioned to minimize heat loss. He woke before dawn and stretched. The second day brought storms. Acidic rain fell in sheets, dissolving unprotected skin. Alan had already sealed his shelter with stone and sheet, diverting runoff into channels that led to a collection basin. He spent the storm humming quietly, repairing his cord and organizing supplies. When the rain ended, he emerged with more water than before. He anticipated the storm, Pax said. He read the sky, the instructor replied. On the third day, the course introduced complications. Native scavengers were released. Small, fast, intelligent. They stole supplies and attacked in groups. One found Alan's camp and darted in. Snatching the container, Alan laughed. The sound confused the creature. It hesitated just long enough for Alan to toss a stone that landed beside it. No. At it. Beside it, the creature fled, dropping the container. Alan retrieved it, checked the seal, and shook his head. That was rude, he said to the empty air. Pax blinked. He speaks to them, speaks to himself, the instructor said. Also common. As days passed, Alan explored. He mapped safe paths, identified edible growth, and marked hazards with stacked stones. He assisted another candidate briefly, showing them how to collect dew, then moved on without attachment. The course discouraged cooperation, but did not forbid brief contact. By day 6, only 12 candidates remained. Alan looked healthy. His movements were efficient. His pack was lighter, but his resources had grown. He opened the container again. Inside remained food. How? Pax whispered. The instructor checked the inspection log. The container was allowed because it was declared as morale sustenance. Morale, Pax repeated. Alan ate slowly, savoring each bite. He cleaned the cloth afterward and repacked everything with care. On the final day, the terrain shifted. Tectonic movement fractured the ground. Toxic gas vents opened without warning. The remaining candidates scattered in panic. Alan stopped. He watched the dust patterns. He felt the vibration through his boots. He adjusted his route, stepping where others had not. When a vent erupted ahead, turned aside without breaking stride. The finish marker stood on a plateau of black stone. Alan climbed steadily, lungs working against gravity, sweat controlled. Pace measured, he reached the marker alone. The beacon activated automatically. Transport arrived. Pax stared at the data. Failure rate 90%. Survival time average for days. Human completion time 7 days with surplus resources. The instructor nodded. They call it a picnic. Why? Pax asked. Why bring food? The instructor considered. Because humans do not see survival as mere endurance. They see it as living. Alan stepped onto the transport, waved once at the instructors, and sat down. He opened the container for the last time and smiled at the empty space inside. Next time, he thought, he would pack dessert.